Are you ready to go?
I am.
Okay, well, let's see if we can get this thing started. Let's see if this thing started. All right. Ooh-wee. And guys, you know when you hear that music right there, that means it's about to go down right before it goes up. Welcome, y'all. Let's go. It is time to go. Let's go. Guys, if you have not seen the show, oh my goodness, today is going to be off the chisel. We'll explain that a little bit later. But for now, we're going to get back to dancing because we're going to get y'all fired up.
This is how the story goes. She knows she's got everything. Now I want to eat together.
All right. Calm down. Settle down. All right, mine. This is getting crazy. Slow down. Okay, I know. I get it. Guys, welcome from the north, south, east, and west, and all the rest. We're going to give you our best because we know if we're giving you our best, nothing can make us a loser because we're putting it all out there, guys. Welcome. I see you, Jessica. Welcome, Tammy. Welcome, Darlene. Welcome, Ryan. Welcome, Eli Patterson. All of you guys that are chiming in. Today is going to be a treat. I know I say that a lot, but today, I may have been lying them other times, but today is good.
You done repented. I like that.
Today is going down so we can help y'all go up, guys. Let me introduce my guest real quick. We're going to dive in. This drum roll, y'all. It's a drum roll moment. She's often imitated, but never quite duplicated.
I like that.
She's first to many, but absolutely second to none, and more than one. She's got some zip in her hip and some slide in her glide, and I got her over here right by my side, live to help you thrive. And I made it rhyme for you. Guys, get ready to applaud. This is none other than the Leticia Perez.
Thank you.
Let's clap it. Let's clap it. Let's clap it.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, actually, I should say Supervisor Leticia Perez.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, thank you.
Oh my gosh. God, okay, some of y'all don't know the significance of that, but we're going to get into that real quick. I was hustling around on the internet and on Facebook, guys. You can see this right here. You can see this photo. I just thought that was the coolest photo.
Why? Tell me, because I love it too.
Because you're in the middle and you're the only one showing your teeth. That's kind of weird.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I was reminded of when I was a kid, my family, I'm one of four boys. I'm the fourth. And then my mom and dad. And so in all of our photos, nobody's smiling except me.
Funny. Why?
I don't know. I mean, it's like.
You're smiling now. It's a good habit.
It is. I say, guys, show your teeth. Even if you have one tooth, brush it first.
Shine it up.
Shine it up.
And show
it off.
Right.
Because when you smile, that gives other people permission to smile too.
Yes, and it's good energy in it, and it's warm, right? It says, let's talk.
Exactly. It's very welcoming,
right?
And it's contagious too.
It is contagious.
And so when I saw this as, here's another shot right here, Madam Chairman. Oh my God.
You're good. Oh,
yeah.
You're buttering me up.
Yes.
I'm loving this.
I said, hey, I got excited, y'all, and you know that's real easy to do. But in this case, it was like real, true excitement where I'm like, wait a minute, this gal is doing some stuff special. And I know we've kind of hinted at it a few times over the past year or so. I don't know, where I'm like, hey, get your butt on over here. And you're like, okay, I wanna, how do I do it? You know, and then we kind of drift away. But this time around, we said we're gonna make it happen.
Here we are.
We are here.
And what an impressive operation and what an impressive human being you are. I'm really quite floored, and thank you for having me. Really.
Thank you.
I mean it.
Thank you. I'm humbled to hear that.
This is really remarkable, and what great energy and talent you have.
See, there she goes.
How remarkable. Well, remember, I am in election mode, so you have to check everything against that reality, right? But no, I'm being serious. This is quite breathtaking. Congrats on all of your success. I think it's remarkable. Truly remarkable.
I don't want to run and step on that compliment. I'm going to say thank you.
Good.
Because the compliment accepting etiquette is to just say thank you and shut up.
It's funny. I struggle with that too.
Do you?
Oh, yes. And my husband's always on me. Accept that. Accept that grace. Accept that blessing from people. Because that's what they're blessing you with.
Yes.
And from their heart. And I got to get better at it too. So thanks for saying that.
Well, it's funny because in my book, Breadcrumbs to Making It Great, Volume 1, I actually have a section there where I talk about a compliment accepting etiquette.
Interesting.
And it's quite simple. It's like most people deflect the compliment by giving back one. Like, oh, you look so nice today. And then you're like, oh, you too, girl. Look at that, you know.
Look at that one, too. That's shining so nice, but there's no need to say it, right? Isn't that the point? Oh, it's heating up in here. I got to take my scarf off.
There we go. It's getting hot. She's peeling off the layers.
That's right. So, no, it's funny. It is a great subject because honor and glory are things in which I think we haven't really worked out as best as we could, especially for our communities, right? To understand that when you are being honored and when that honor is appropriate and that you should humbly accept it, but not put yourself down or, oh, I'm not worthy or these things that really get in the way of that etiquette. So I really appreciate that you're touching on that because it's part of learning how to interact better, owning one's own power and authority, right? But not doing so in an arrogant way. Nobody likes arrogance.
That's true.
Nobody needs that.
That's true. Or the cockiness.
Or the cockiness.
The confidence and the cockiness, there's a thin line between that, but people can definitely recognize it when you overdo it. And I absolutely agree with you. And to your point, this is, if we're not working on that number one most important skill this side of the universe, which is communication skills, is what I say. Because I mean, any great leader in history was great at the communication.
I completely agree. And made great strides to communicate in a way that people can understand.
Absolutely.
Which is different based on where you're at and what your crowd is, right? Understand the people who are listening to you and the paradigm by which they see the world. And that's how we honor each other and go, it's okay to have your life experience. It's different than mine.
Right.
We're going to see the world differently, but that's okay. And that's beautiful. And when we come together and honor each other's positions, then we can craft solutions that make sense. But we have to listen. We have to be present for that.
See, she's making me smile over here because she's totally giving out these great points. And I'm like, there's the politician there, and then there's the life person there too as well too, that's talking about these important principles. And the communication thing is one of those things where it's not one size fits all. She's exactly right. As a speaker myself, when I'm gracing different platforms and stages around the country, I really have to take into account my age, my demographics, my what business is it and such. And if you don't do that, then you're going to miss the point of actually crafting something that's going to be impactful to the masses of the people in your audience. And it is the essence of, as they say, know your audience. Absolutely. We always hear that line, but what does that mean exactly? We don't really talk about what it means to look at an audience and go, who am I here? I'm a Latina, Democrat woman. I'm a mom. I'm Kern County. I'm a number of things that put me in a certain category or ideas, right? Now I want to grow outside of that, but as I'm initially gauging a crowd and I'm thinking, who are they and who is that audience and how can I best present the ideas I have and the passion I have in a way that's not going to be threatening, in a way that won't be confrontational, but that really invites a kind of discourse that way. And I think knowing your audience is key. It's sophisticated. You recognize that you do bring your own baggage to any group. Right. Just take it head on. And people really appreciate that. I really believe that. And I saw somewhere somebody said, pandering, talking to a crowd in a way that they can understand is not pandering. That's understanding your crowd and knowing a language that can help really get across an idea that if people understand it, you're gonna have momentum. Exactly. But you gotta respect your crowd. That's right. And that's the art of communication, is actually knowing what your crowd is and who your crowd is and who you are to that crowd as well, too. That's exactly right. And then being artful about how you articulate what it is that you're trying to convey. You made me think of something. I saw a meme the other day. It said, no matter how great you think you are, you're the bad guy in somebody's story. Ooh, yeah. Right? And it's a good thing to remember. Yes. The world doesn't always see you the way you see you or the way other crowds see you. And if you walk into a crowd where there might be some folks who might think
you kind of a bad guy or
Right.
have a certain impression of you.
Yeah.
That's something to take serious and be respectful about,
Right.
right? And help alleviate those concerns.
I got a question. And I know, I'm curious myself.
Ask away.
I kind of know, but I'm going to throw it out there. And at the end of the day, you as the audience, viewing audience, is going to get a chance to hear her respond to this question. And I know it's right here inside of you. And I know it's going to create some value for you guys. But obviously, that's going to be on the other side of this dance break. Because we got to keep you guys moving. Because if we don't do that, y'all may sign off or go to sleep. So we are not unmindful that needs to happen. You all right, shotgun, right here with me and your gal, Leticia Perez. Let's keep it going. Come on, it's not let's go. Come on. All right, welcome back, y'all. Welcome back, welcome back. My audience is applauding. I got one in studio audience member here. He's making noise back there. That's Mr. Christian Romo. Say something.
Come on, Christian Romo in the house.
You see that, right? You see his little left hand right there. That's hilarious. Okay, guys. Oh, okay. We got Arlena. Arlena's chiming in. Miss
No
Power.
way.
She says, "My two faves, Madam Chair Leticia." Okay.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Arlena.
Good to see you. Guys, if you're just joining us again, I'm riding shotgun with Madam Chair Supervisor Leticia Perez. Is that like the whole?
Ooh, thank you. You're good. Yes.
I've been working on it. I'm working on it.
It
And
shows.
These nuggets are the bomb.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
We are dropping some nuggets, and she's already dropped some nuggets. That first one was talking about communication and how important it is to know your audience. And a lot of people may try to check out on this when we're talking about principles like that. But please check back in, because that applies to anybody that can fog a mirror. You need to pay attention to the communication part of that, because if you get the communication thing down, you can get the cookies and the keys to the cookie jar. And so in whatever space that you're in, and I know she gets that. And I said I had a question for her that I wanted to be able to pose to her. And I know the way she responds to it is going to be of benefit and of value to you. And there's actually a couple of questions. One is, when did you know that this is my space where my heart's virtue or my passion exists, or my reason for being is set? When
It
did
is
you
such
know
a great
that?
question. I grew up in East Bakersfield with a family and a community essentially ravaged by the criminal justice system. I'll just be honest.
No.
Bad decisions, bad parents, a whole lot of things that caused that. But it was so profound, its impact on my family, my neighborhood, that I could not ignore it. And I wanted so badly to get in there and shake it up. And I just knew that if I took my passion and my law degree to such an institution as the Public Defender's Office, that we would change all this, get people working and close the skills gap, et cetera, et cetera. And after about 200 conversations with clients of mine, mostly black, brown, poor, white, truth be told, poor people, asking me, Miss Perez, can you help me get a job? That was the number one question I ever got from a client, was about a job. And I'm mostly looking at somebody, okay, we say this in compassion and love, but somebody who I would not want to hire to do work around my house.
Wow.
Right? Because they have a scary appearance.
Yeah.
Right? Poor hygiene. Right? Low skill set. That is not a marketable person.
Yeah.
And when people trying to make money, they don't need it. Okay? So I left there after thousands of cases and hundreds of conversations like this with people who are not asking about their case or how they can beat it. Yeah. But rather, can you help me get a job? And that so broke my heart. That was so devastating to see people that I knew could not get a job. Heck, I'm competing for a job.
Right.
How's this guy going to compete?
Right.
We know what the rules of the game are.
Okay.
So when I left there heavy-hearted, I felt like a failure because I did not do what I set out to do, which was shake it up and bring in all the right institutions and players that were going to give these guys a chance. You know, I left there feeling like, okay, this is, I'm too low in the process to really impact people's lives meaningfully. And I realized that I had to be in a different position, that the decisions, the policy decisions that cause us to be in a situation where people who are desperate to work are not people that I would even hire, that's a problem. That's a problem. And when I left there, I said, I need to be in a position where I can address those issues on a systemic basis.
Wow.
But we can look at the way in which the built environment, the way in which our education system, the way in which our politicians engage our communities. That's where the magic is. Because I understand powerlessness in a way that a lot of people do. And then the shame and the hopelessness of powerlessness is profound. And we see it permeating our communities. We see it in these tents all around town. And it is not good for society on any level. So leaving there as a failure made me realize that I needed to be at a higher level. I needed to be at a policy position where I could impact big decisions that will cause less people to be in that position.
Wow. I know, guys, as she's talking,
that was a long answer. Sorry, I talk a lot.
But it was very detailed, and I wanted to like expand on some things here that she just stated there. I don't know. One thing I heard was, you know, it wasn't her original plan. And I talk so much about on these lives where I talk about the importance of you make your plan, follow your plan, work your plan, but expect for things not to go quite as planned. Because that's just the way life works. In fact, if you were to line up 10 people, 11 of them will tell you that they're probably not doing what they initially set out to do. That means that the most important part of their plan was the part that wasn't actually planned. I know that sounds weird, but just go with me on this one. Because she didn't initially plan that when she was starting out in this space. She said, where can I make the biggest impact? And then started to do what most people don't do, which is actually makes the change to position herself to be able to put her in those spaces to be able to impact and affect people and make actual change. Now, has that come in the absence of struggle? I'm gonna let her answer that.
You know, the experience of going to law school was so transformative for me and my community because I got to see in the books and in the case law the instances in which great thinkers, brilliant people on the Supreme Court, brilliant people on appellate courts, challenged by good Americans, most of them African American, truth be told, challenging the system and saying equality, due process, that applies to us too. We're American too. Not better, worse, we're American too. And those documents and those principles that have inspired an entire globe, truth be told, that are ours, right? That those should apply to more people than just the powerful, the wealthy, or those that are status quo. So that totally and completely transformed my life. So I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to acquire that education, to have the time to think about those principles, to look at the great leaders of this country who have fought like hell to advance causes that are so fundamentally American. I was inspired by that process, going to law school. And it was tough, and I was in a place, I was in Indiana, and I was far from home, and it was crazy cold just outside of Chicago. Oh, and I'd like to talk about.
I'm sure there's a story behind that.
Oh, yes, and I spent a year in Gary, Indiana. You know, and their Indiana Legal Services, which I'd love to have a subject of future conversation because I learned a lot, and I've continued to zero in.
That means you will come back.
Oh yes, I would love to. I would love to because lots of
catch
details.
that?
and
we can't do it all in an hour.
And I'd love to explore with you the new project, Economic Development and Skills Gap project that we are doing in the MLK region at some point, whenever it's convenient for you and your listeners, to explore the projects that Arlena and I and many other good people are doing together, because they really are formed by these years of experience.
And being able to form to be able to address these issues.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Time as a planning commissioner, land use, right? Figuring out how the machinations of government work so that we can bring it to our communities and help people not end up in that chair in my office going, can you help me get a job?
Guys, if you're just joining us, I'm riding shotgun with none other than I feel like I need to do this. None other than because it just happened, y'all. It just happened. None other than Madam Chairman, the Chairwoman, Madam Chairperson, Leticia, Supervisor.
You got it. It all works. It all works. I respond to all of it.
like literally, and I showed this picture earlier to you guys on Facebook. For those who just joined us or what have you, this just happened. This is how long ago was this? Were you just appointed? Monday, guys. So this is like the new car smell you're smelling right now. Is that she's newly in that middle seat there, and this is our Madam Chairman. I got it right, Madam Chairman Leticia Perez, District 5. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a privilege.
You know, and I like to say this, guys. I like to drag people in on the show here for various different reasons. One is just to inspire, motivate, encourage, and educate people. Maybe even transformate you, depending on where you're at in your life. Because sometimes something falls out of their mouth or my mouth or both that was meant for your ears specifically. That's going to be that thing that catapults you forward into the direction of achieving those goals that you think are important.
Can I answer a previous question that I don't think I answered, or try to better answer what you asked me earlier?
Okay.
When I was an undergrad, UC Santa Barbara, ran out of money, had to become a live-in nanny, fold underwear, drive the kid to drum lessons. And a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to actually finish my college. Do you know when I graduated from law school, that family took me back in, housed me, fed me so that I could prepare for the bar, and I passed the bar first shot. Here's why I share those stories why I share that with you. And I remember an undergrad failing statistics twice, having to take it a third time and getting a tutor, finally passing with a B+. I missed an A by only one question. Okay, I've never been good at statistics. I wasn't then, and I'm not now. I won't pretend. But the truth is, that's right. The truth is that you will be bad at a lot of things.
Yes.
And you will probably not ever be good at what you're bad at, right? No.
Got it. Okay.
I have gotten better in my life because I've had great mentors who have told me, know what you're good at, and really explore, grow, and become great. Yeah. On the things you're not good at, embrace it. And say that not everybody is good at everything. I've never been a great math or science person. I've had to have tutorial my entire life. I share that because, you know, being great, being successful, achieving fame, notoriety, whatever it is that we drive for as human beings, does not come because you're a genius in every area. It comes because you outwork the people around you. You work harder. You still clean the toilets. You still pick up the trash because none of it's beneath you, right? It's not beneath me. Yeah. And if you outwork the people around you and ask for help where you need help, you will succeed. You will succeed. But it's okay to not be great at things. You can't be great at everything. And where you're not so great, get help, get tutorial, and then move on and keep on the path of being where it is that you know you're intended to be.
These niggas got me. Look at my fingers. Can I please get a few more, please?
Yes, my ladies and gentlemen that are out there, we, you know, these struggles are designed to be able to make you stronger. And when she points out that, you know, you can be bad at a lot of stuff, good at a few, and but you can be great at one or two. Someone was blessed to have two.
Yeah.
It's like concentrating on those times, the time, because we all have 24 hours in a day. Not 25, not 26. We have 24. I'm circulating a petition, by the way, to try to get it to 26 hours in a day. Nobody wants to sign that.
I need to sign. I'm ready to go. Sign me up.
But until that happens, we only have 24. And I don't know about most people, but I use 6 to 8 of that sleeping. So numbers show that I got about 16 or so that I got to do. I want to focus on the things. In fact, one of my posts today lends itself to what did I say? It'll come back to me later, guys. But it was a big nugget that lent itself to where you have to squeeze the juice out of the time in a specific space. Doing something. Oh, here's what I said. Doing it, and doing it to the point where you can no longer be wrong at doing it. That right there leads to mastery in certain things. Notice I didn't say perfect, because that's a myth. We can always be better today than we were yesterday if we continue to push. But doing it and doing it and doing it until you reach that level of masterfulness where you can't go wrong. You can't do it wrong.
I love this. The latest science on how our brain works is teaching us that through a concept known as neuroplasticity, the plasticity of your neurons, we are discovering that you can completely change your thought patterns, your habits. We've always in the past said, right, once a cheater, always a cheater. Once a liar, always a liar, right? We grew up with that mentality. And so we tend to believe that. But the truth is that science is telling us through neuroplasticity that we can establish new habits, and when you stick with them, they actually change in sort of the elasticity of your neurons will change. If you establish the habits, you will actually become a different person. And it's striking because we've grown up thinking otherwise. Once that you're bad at that, you're this, you're that, your mistakes, you're defining your past. But the truth is that the science at the DNA level is so profoundly enlightening about who we can really be and how we can change our habits and change our lifestyles. And that it isn't just a forced change life. It is an actual change in the way in which the neurons fire and the way in which you make decisions. It's incredible. So whatever condition a person is in, whatever place or in history they possess or past they have, all of that can change with the changing of habits and being consistent about it. And that is neuroplasticity, and that's hopeful for all of us.
Guys, that's another, I got another nugget.
And the nuggets just keep on coming.
We're going to ding it.
Give me some more. Let's go.
Yes, we're going to give you some more too, guys. I'm riding shotgun with none other than the Madam Chairman, Supervisor Leticia Perez. I got it right. Yay, I got it right. Yes. And she is dropping some nuggets here, guys, that's not going to your hips. These nuggets go to your head and to your heart. And when she started talking about the things about what she was just sharing, neuroplasticity, which is a big thing, you know, in my little repertoire, in terms of our brain. A lot of people say outer space is the final frontier. I say, it is the inner space between our ears that's the final frontier of exploration. I know this may freak some of you guys out,
that's
but just,
cool, man.
but just is this inner space that we have to master. And you are not set to some type of fate. You really can change it by, as she says, your actions and your behaviors and the things that you do. Now, I have this formula called D8 formula that speaks directly to that. See if you can follow it. There's 8 Ds here. Doing daily disciplines daily develops dominance and determines destiny. I'll say it again.
Right.
Doing daily disciplines daily develops dominance and determines destiny. What that means, what you do day in, day out, day in, day out. Your healthy habits, notice I said healthy, your healthy habits, your ritual routines, your daily disciplines, those things are going to determine who you are tomorrow. Now, the catch is most people may start out like when they got New Year's resolution or something, and they'll start out doing something and then they fall off within like the first 2 to 3 weeks. Now, the catch is sticking around long enough doing the right stuff until your version of success shows up.
And your brain alters.
Exactly.
Your brain actually shifts in the way in which your neurons fire and have you react. It is so, and it's this new science.
Yes.
And the more we can, get that message to the public that wherever you are today, you can change that.
That's right.
Through your discipline, through this. Right now, you can get the package right now online, right away. I mean, this is the truth. It is so simple. It is so simple, the act of creating discipline for oneself, but most importantly, feeling hopeful that you're not always going to be what you were, because we all have the baggage. We all have things in our past that we would rather not be true. Every single human being has that, right?
That's true.
And we wonder, what does it say about us? Are we a bad character? Are we immoral people? I mean, we struggle with these things in our sort of existential journey. And the truth is that we determine every day what kind of habits and the way in which our neurons are going to fire in the future. And so really, it's on us to get it right.
You're right. To her point, you become what your habits are.
Yep.
So since that's true, it's like, what are you doing? Or what do you want to do? And then define what that is, and then back up and say, okay, what actions I need to conduct myself in and behaviors I need to be able to express on a regular basis.
First step, get a mentor.
Ooh,
you see a field that you want to be in. You want to be a politician. You want to be drunk with power. Whatever it is that floats your boat, go get somebody in that arena and ask the most basic questions.
Yeah.
How can I get my foot in the door? Can I intern? Can I volunteer? And as you get into that space and you start listening to the conversations, you start answering the phone and understanding what people's questions, concerns, or angers are, you begin to understand that culture in that group, because there's no way for you to understand it unless you're in it. But you don't have to show up as some genius or with a resume and go, I demand a job right now. It's so critical that you learn the culture of something you want to get into. frankly, to even know if it's really what you want, right? A lot of people go to law school and they end up hating the practice of law. Truth be told, I was a decent lawyer, but I'm a much better politician. And having a legal education assists me in being a better politician. So those are all good and positive things. But once I got in and engaged in the practice of law, it was through that I realized it was limited in ways that I couldn't accept.
Got it.
But I didn't know that till I got in there.
Guys, what she's talking about is so big, and I'm smiling over here. But you hear that music, that means we got a dance break. I got a question for her.
Donkey.
And this
That was
question,
good stuff right there.
I want to give you a little hint. Just stick around, guys. I'm curious to how she answers this question. And I know it's going to come from the heart. It's going to be a blessing to you guys. Come on, let's go. We are right shotgun once again with none other than the Supervisor. Leticia up there. Come on, right there. Let's go. It's Friday, guys. Some of y'all just got paid. Look at you. Guys, it really adds a tooth to my smile when I see that people in positions of power are not afraid of actually having a little fun. I had Don Clark in here the other day.
Oh, he's great.
He's awesome. Shannon in here
Very cool.
a few months ago, and I'm always curious to see if they're going to really let their hair down a little bit and be transparent with, being a little, move a little bit. And it's so funny because they all are. And so that's what lets people know that, you're real people. And that.
Well, that's how you get to know each other too.
That's true.
Because you have to listen to what a person understands about the world. The reality is everybody lives in their own reality.
That's right.
Okay. And
say that again. Say that again.
The statement perception.
The reality is
the statement that perception is reality doesn't go far enough, because the reality is that people live in their own reality.
That's true.
It's more than a perception. It is their own bubble and reality.
Right.
And so if you want to be effective, and you want to get to hearts and minds, and you want to really deliver outcomes, it ain't going to be by pushing your version of the world. Your version of the world is your version.
That's right.
Other people have their versions, and they are valid, and they should be listened to, especially when they don't agree with you, because they're going to teach you stuff in that process. If nothing else, why people feel the way that they do. Yeah. And so it's in those moments where we break down some of that, facade or pretense, where we can start listening to one another and go, okay, I don't agree with you, but I see your perspective. And when we see each other's perspective, it also transforms our brains, helps us be more open-minded, more integrated, and it makes us more valuable because we're not limited to our own reality.
Guys, I totally get that. And to her point, seek first to understand.
Always.
Before attempting to be understood. And that's one of the biggest negotiation tactics too, is saying, let me know about my enemy and what they're looking at, or perceived enemy.
Sure.
To see what it is that what angle, what perspective that they're speaking from. And then that gives you clarity on what it is they're looking for. And then you look for similarities. I've shared the story before where I was traveling on a plane ride, and I was flying Southwest. And first come, first serve when you fly Southwest. And so,
if even that.
And so, yes. And so,
you're on your own.
Yes, right. That's exactly right. And so a guy sits next to me that was an Indian guy with the turban and such. And so this had never happened before. And so I said, okay, Mr. Make It Great, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to engage him in conversation.
Good for you.
And so by the end of that ride, we were taking selfies and exchanging information so we could stay in the contact. And
how enlightening for him.
Exactly. And for me, because I gave him 80% of the what I call time of possession, as far as him actually responding to my questions. And he was totally open to do that. So I found out we have more in common than we have in difference.
Absolutely.
And, he's a father of children. He moved to Texas from the LA area because his kids have chosen to live their lives by wearing the hijabs. And they have subjected themselves to ridicule and stuff from the community. And so he was moving them to Texas to escape that and put them in a space where they would be more accepted. And I said, well, what if there was something like that me as a father of four, I had something with my kids like that. Would I want to put them in a safe place? And only a fool says no. Right. And so I said, wow. So yeah, I get that. And then I asked him what was his number one fear. And he floored me with what he said. That's going to be after this break, I'll tell you.
You're good.
I'm good. He floored me. He said his biggest fear is that other people, ignorance will lead to some harm to his family. And so,
that is a reasonable fear.
Yeah.
And it's a legitimate fear. And the only way we authentically address that is by listening and communicating to each other. By the story you just told to your listeners, that they can do that too. And that there is so much commonality. It's striking. I'll tell you one thing that's always amazed me is how much human suffering there is in the world. Within our own families, within our own relationships, within our own sense of failure or success within the relationships we have with our children. These are so commonly felt by so many people, and they drive so much of our human conduct. It's listening to each other that we recognize that we are really sharing a lot in similar suffering, and that by supporting each other, right, we can be better at the thing we're trying to be better at, but then even expressing it is sort of a confessional, and it's a acceptance and we're in this together.
Yeah.
I'm not the worst mom or the whatever it is that we struggle with as human beings.
We have a common bond of struggle.
We have a common bond of struggle, and I'm always amazed by how many people, as a racial minority, I have a paradigm in my reality is as a racial minority, and it is a big part of my life. I can't deny that. I try not to be consumed with it, but it is a part of my life. And so when I talk to people who are not racial minorities and I listen to their suffering and their family struggles, it really helps to break down this idea that we somehow are different. The reality is that we are living and struggling with very similar pressures and realities, and that we're all better if we are lending a helping hand and saying, without judgment, we can do this.
Wow, guys. And what I hear in there, here's another nugget. That's nugget bucket worthy. It's yes, they are. I'm hearing there, guys, is that, we all have one thing that's in common, other than 24 hours in a day, is that we all have some type of struggle. I like to say STUFF, STUFF. Here's an acronym for you. Situations that uncover fear or faith. We have that. No matter what socioeconomical background you come from, what's your ethnicity, what's your color, race, creed, kind, doesn't matter. We all have stuff we have to deal with. Yeah. And it's not until we're equipping ourselves and empowering ourselves and surrounding ourselves with people who are uplifting, encouraging, dream-driven, goal-getting, passion pursuers that are trying to be better today than they were yesterday, do we empower ourselves to be able to deal with the stuff. Because if you're not doing it, then it just puts you in a position to where the stuff's going to overcome you. So we all have stuff. We all have struggles. We all have adversity. The ADVERSITY. Here's the adversities acronym. Ability to develop via experiencing rough situations that involuntarily train you. That's adversity. It comes to make you stronger. That's right. It's like only a fool would pray to be, for grass to grow and then say, but don't send the rain. That's just crazy. It's like, no, the rain is there to be able to help you to grow. And if you're just joining me, I am riding shotgun with none other than the Madam. I got this.
Oh,
you can hold that. You can hold that. You can hold it. The Madam, because now she goes ping, ping, ping. She's the Madam Chairman, Supervisor Leticia Perez. And so she's here, and we're dropping some nuggets. They're raining down you need a wheelbarrow, not buckets, but wheelbarrows to collect these. Let me see what some of you guys are saying here. Let me see. Eli Patterson says, I consider myself a generalist. Okay, I know enough of a lot of things to be able to help and inspire others. The stuff I'm bad at, I get others to help me with.
Good.
Absolutely.
Right on.
But I applaud that. Boop, 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 boop. Victoria, let me see what she says. She says she loves it. Eli's chiming in again. I love the subject of our brain and how it works for creating behaviors. Yes, sir. You know it, Coach. I know he's in the neural space.
Spot on.
It is. We see Shannon Eckra. She says, not me, Eli. I'm clueless about most things. But though you stay in the cluelessness, that's the catch.
As a kid, my mom used to always tell me, the less you know, the happier you are. And I have to admit, there's some truth to that.
There's some truth. Staying ignorant of certain things keeps ignorance is bliss.
It can be.
It can be.
It's just so funny.
Pepline's dog. I love it. Arlena, she says, Eli, because you're brilliant. Oh my gosh, okay. They're chatting here. She's pumping him up. Oh my gosh, okay, got it. Guys, there's so many of you that are on here right now, and that just does my heart. You guys mean so much more than just the world to me. To be able to chime on, take time out of your day to come in and see if you can glean something from the conversations that I have with people like Supervisor Perez here. And if you haven't joined us, if you just joined us now, please press the replay button because we've already dropped some big nuggets up to this point. And if you've watched us all the way to this point, man, if there ever been a time to press a share button on this one, this is that time because this is some good nuggets. Some people need to hear this. Terrence Manoy, that's my man. Miracle Manoy says, good stuff. Rick Strickland, I see you. Frank Okirion, I see you as well. Hey, Liz Barajas, good to see you. Michael Mellon, Richie Morrell, all of you. And whatever platform you're watching on, we appreciate that. I got one other question before we chime out of here because I see we're getting everly closing that hour, that witching hour. But what I'm going to do, I want to do it on the other side of this dance break.
Did somebody say it's time for a dance break?
This issue. Okay. Oh, here's the song. We are riding shotgun. Sing it with me if you know it.
Be an American, where at least I know I'm free. But I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend personal to me. Love it. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I say what you want about our country, but I'm telling you, one thing you cannot say is that there's a better one out there. I mean, that when it comes
I agree.
When it comes to all those things, yes, name a country that doesn't have flaws and fallacies. Name one. There's not one. However, from our position as a country, man, we sure do strive to try to get better because our citizens, the foundation of what we're laid at, work hard like this gal here sitting next to me to put themselves in the positions to be able to, at the end of the day, help us to be a little bit better today than we were yesterday. That's what it's all about. How do you leverage and squeeze the juice out of your talent, your time, your treasures, your testimonies, all of these T's, and enable to be in service to this hurting humanity in some way? That's why I do this. It's to remind you or give you a glimpse of what that looks like. Am I saying we're special? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying another word that starts with that. We're similar. We're similar to you. And so we're going to challenge you to say, hey, what is it that you can do in order to make that difference that's out there as well, too? We've shared some nuggets all the way up to this point, and I got a question. And the way she answers this is going to empower and equip you to be able to deal with this as well, too. It's this thing called stress.
Oh, it's a killer. And we're learning more about it than we ever have before. And it's why I talk about neuroplasticity, because stress will alter your brain as well for the negative. And stress is the killer of our generation. We have to take it head on, and we have to be mindful of the techniques and opportunities to become present, to not constantly be time traveling in the future or the past, because the average person is checked out 47% of the time, right? So being present and being mindful is about focusing on what we know here and what we know now, not being able to change the past or control the future, because we can't do either, right? We can be present, we can be mindful, and those things reduce our stress and help us to live in the moment and be present for the people and the things we love.
Wow. Now, the key thing I heard in that whole statement was that reduce your stress, not avoid stress. I think the biggest myth out there is that stress is to be avoided, but stress has a job to do. Stress is to be managed, just like failure. And I could even ask her, what does she think about failure? I know what she's going to say. So I'm just going to you guys. These things are to be managed, not to be avoided. They're to reduce and be managed, because they come to do something for you. In fact, people will perform better when they have a little bit of nervousness or stress and such. Scientific study shows that. So the catch is when it gets out of hand and it's not controlled, or you don't have the tools or you haven't equipped yourself to be able to deal with it and manage it. And
I'm reminded of one of my favorite quotes by Thomas Edison, who said, "I have never failed. I only found 10,000 ways that didn't work.
That's right.
And I think the stress really comes from a tremendous sense of failure about whatever it is that's important to us, our parenting, our work, our finances, whatever it is, right? Because they're under constant stressors, always. But the sense that we are failing is profound. And the mindset that we found something that didn't work and now we shift. That's what makes a Thomas Edison from, you know, the other 8 billion people on the planet that, you know, will never have such a legacy, right? It's a perspective, right?
Yes.
That I've never failed and I'm not going to fail. I've had a very tough 2 years, as you know. I don't consider those failures. Those are opportunities to learn. There were mistakes made and we have to acknowledge them and move forward.
Love it.
But those aren't failures. Those are moments of clarity that we need to reevaluate and say, okay, I'm not perfect and nobody is, but I'm certainly not failing. And like Thomas Edison, I will find what works.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Just keep swinging the bat.
Booyah.
And I always like to say the truest form of failure is if you fail to learn a lesson in the failure, or you stay in the failure. You don't choose to try to move on past it. In fact, I think a great man once said that failure is just a creative form of feedback. That's basically what it is. It's like, hey, here's feedback of what works, what does not work. Now, what do you do next? What do you pivot to? You pivot to the negative or do you pivot to the positive?
Right.
I would hope it would be the latter, because that's exactly what failure is designed to do. In fact, I like to say this, that success in the absence of failure does not exist. It just does not. In fact, people say they learn more from their failures than they learn from their successes.
But again, they're not necessarily failures.
That's
they're
right.
things that didn't work, or they worked on some ways but needed to be tweaked.
That's true.
So if you are moving forward and establishing the habits to be a better version of yourself, which we all want, that's why you tuned into this show now, right? To get nuggets, to get insight, to listen to people who know things that you don't know. That is such an ambitious personal drive. It is such a, you know, incredible way to live your life. Because one thing I have learned is the greater the radius of your knowledge, the greater the circumference of your ignorance. So we must know that we do not know everything. And the more we learn, the more we realize how much we need each other to balance out our own frailties, but to also help us learn to do things better and to listen, because other people's perspective matters. And we have to find balance in that for a civil society and to be the best Americans we can.
Guys, did you hear that? I mean, the nuggets just keep on coming.
And the nuggets just keep on coming.
Yes.
Give me some more. Let's go.
At the end of the day, my friends, you know, pay attention. Let's not be selfish absorbed. Let's be selfless, where we pay attention to those people that are around us. Lend 2 ears in the ratio of the 2 ears to the 1 mouth. And listen to people. Listen, not listen to respond, but listen to understand. And if you haven't caught anything else from this thing, this whole live that we've done here, catch this. Please leave with this, that you can be better today than you were yesterday if you say so. And then start surrounding yourself with the right people to be able to do that.
One step at a time.
One step at a time.
And understand that peer pressure never goes away. Peer pressure is not a childhood thing. It's not a high school thing. The peers that surround you will pressure you to think and see the world a certain way. So be careful who you surround yourself with, because those people impact your mind and the way in which the habits you establish in your life. So, you know, step up your game, boss up. You want to be great. There is nothing stopping you from greatness except your fear of getting out there and saying, I want to learn, teach me. That's the key.
Guys, I couldn't have said it better. So I'm just going to let it marinate a little minute because that's some good stuff, y'all. If I'm telling you, if this doesn't fire you up, you're dealing with some wet wood, because this is good stuff. Dry out your wood so this can fire you up. You know, I love this song because it speaks to people like herself, where it's like, hey, we say, we're every man out there too. Guys, we are counting on you to catch a glimpse of what could be for your lives and start pushing out there to be able to make a difference this day. Did you enjoy this live? I hope you did. I enjoyed it. And I know I'm going to get her back. I'm going to try hard. Get her back in here. She's super busy. But I think she's talk about her. I don't know. She's dancing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. All right, till next time, guys. This Mr. Make It Great saying, hey, we only get one shot at this life thing. Let's not make it good. Let's make it absolutely great. Until next time, hey, keep reaching for the clouds, but keep your feet on the ground and don't mess around. Love, peace, and chicken grease. We'll talk to you later. All right, guys. Woo. Let's get out of here. See you later.
That was so much fun.
Okay.
Incredible.